Due to the graphic nature of its content, listener discretion is advised.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and free.
Welcome to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. I'm Mike Penny. I'm sitting down with Sebastian Juslin, Dan Spangler, Joe Trainer Jr., here in Dan Spangler's backyard, because we do remote podcasts. So these two gentlemen they literally just wrapped up Operation Keep Your Spanky. You can follow some more of the action, hashtag Keep Your Spanky. We're going to keep that one rolling for our listeners, hashtag Keep Your Spanky. We're going to keep those donations coming in. So we talked to you guys before you actually left. Right, you and I engaged. And then, it's like, dude, this is an awesome mission, and it truly is. It's something that needs to be carried out. And we spoke to you once before from the road, which was great. I believe you're in between Oklahoma City and Chicago, right, at that moment in time?
Yeah, St. Louis.
Now, were you guys driving during that?
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome, because the sound quality came out really well.
Yeah, we were I don't even know where we were at.
We were in Mount Vernon, actually, Missouri, and we pulled over on the side of the road, and we Skyped in, and needless to say, here we are today.
That's awesome.
So, believe it or not, that was only, a week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple days ago?
Yeah, about a week ago.
So, unreal.
Yeah. So, you've wrapped it all up. The trip has finally come to a culmination.
It has.
Is it?
And I know exactly where you're going with it.
Is it one of these things to where it's like, all right, what's the next thing on the horizon? Is it like, wow, I'm still trying to process this?
I would probably say a little bit of trying to process everything. I mean, it's been amazing. It's been a huge adventure. And, like we just mentioned, a week ago, we were halfway across the country, and since then we've hit 10 cities. So, I mean,
right.
In over a week, we've seen a lot. We've done a lot. We've been in New York City. We were in DC for the GI Film Festival. So we've been through a lot. We've done a lot. And so, honestly, like trying to catch up on things, I think is where we're at right now, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, literally trying to take it all in and process what we just did, and, really trying to narrow it down to really what was the one point, as everybody always asks, what sticks out the most? And,
Yeah.
Each and every day was its own new adventure, where nobody for a second believed that Dan and I would be able to pull this off, plain and simple. I mean, talking to the American public, but being able to talk to veterans and, saying, hey, we're going to start out with $50 in our pocket, pack on our back and our dogs, and walk 6,000 miles in 30 days. And hell, if we didn't go over 6,000 miles first and foremost, but secondly, we knew we weren't going to walk one bit of it. Mm-hmm. And if so, then there was something definitely wrong with the system as far as veterans being there for veterans and the American public being there for us. So there was, a whole bunch of underlying meanings that went into this, first and foremost, and the biggest one is that I didn't even know what Dan's program was. Other than the fact that hearing what he was doing, with a dog that once again, was there for him his entire career, coming back from Iraq, and nothing more than having that same mutual bond as far as a canine companion that helped save my life as well. And I called him, and he was so gracious to say, sure, why not? Let's do this. So.
Hell yes. That's all that it takes.
That was it.
That's it. Say, brother, I'm doing a walk across the nation. All right, yeah, sure. Well, you don't even know what it's for yet. Yeah, I don't care. No, I'm just kidding.
And then, once again, you had the connotations as far as a Marine and an Army guy getting together. Yeah. But once again, all of that was blocked away immediately whenever I heard of what he was embarking on, simply because you go back into mission mode. We as veterans understand what that means. We start on the 26th and we end on the 25th of May. Whatever gets accomplished in between is all at the helms of what we're able to make possible. We will make damn sure that we put 110% and then some in each and every day, not for us, but for what saved our lives and for what this program is. And, now being educated personally as far as what Dan's original mission was, I mean, every veteran that we met has a dog, let alone, the personal stories that we were able to hear along the road, to just a couple days ago, from our brothers that literally, had the same, underlining meaning as far as what was there for them. and their dogs, and what this program will be able to do. I mean, coming from my side at One Pet, One Vet, we're only able to supply so much dog food to our veterans as far as being able to give them a dog, and this is going to be nothing but a great program to add on to that, So it's just, it's going to help in every way, Once again, it's just the bond that we formed between us and our dogs. I mean, it's another brotherhood for life, so.
That's awesome. No, it really is. It's cool. Just like, I say it all the time. It's just cool being around the inspiring people that we get to chat with, that we just get to hang out and talk to. I mean, seeing you guys, we were in D.C. also hanging out. I mean, like, it was just great. There's no other way to explain it. It's just one of those things where it's like, sweet, yep, I fit in here.
So do you, Dan, have like that sense of accomplishment yet, or is it still kind of a shock coming back? I mean, having planned this thing, having sought out the people you needed to, having gone through all the hardships involved, do you have that sense of closure yet, or is it more of like, I just stepped into like a vast arena and this is all opening up now?
I don't feel accomplished just because we didn't accomplish our goal on financial side. We did the trek, but we were looking for $100,000 and we didn't get it. So, I mean, we raised about $20,000. So it's a big accomplishment. But now it's getting everything running. So it's out of one fire into another. For the 30 days we've been on the road, it's been a lot of work. A lot of the pictures we posted, everybody, probably thinks we're on like a mini vacation or something, but it definitely wasn't a vacation. Up early, up late, either driving or, some kind of transportation or being around or doing media things and things like that. So, but now it's time to kick off the real program and put it all together and put the work in and actually start helping the veterans and military families. And that's going to be a big part. I mean, it's simple as that. We've already gotten contacted for supporting, the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society here at Camp Lejeune. They wanted information on how we could support them and the veterans that come to them. So it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be good. So
you and I were talking one time about a mastermind group that you went to.
Mm-hmm.
You had asked a question and somebody looked at you and said, dream bigger. Does this go hand in hand with what he was talking about? Is this that, like, it's one of those things where it's like, dude, that's a huge dream. It's an awesome dream. You know what I'm saying? You guys are saving lives by doing this stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's no stretch of the imagination as far as that's concerned. But, like, I don't know. It seems to me like it's a fantastic undertaking to throw yourself headlong towards. I say it all the time. You got gigantic nuts. Like, dude. Nobody decides on a whim with a hole in their hip, Dan, that they're gonna like grab their dog, ruck up, and like, fuck it, Camp Lejeune, I'm going to Pendleton. Like, people don't do that. Normal human beings don't do that. They don't put themselves into that adventure.
Is it big enough? No, I don't think so. We'll figure out something bigger and better next time. I mean, this has been big, but I'm sure we can come up with something bigger and better.
Right,
it's just the way it is. I mean, you can't just stop. Just because we did this doesn't mean everything's good. So we'll come up with something bigger and better next time. We'll go out. We'll do more. We'll raise more money. We'll come up with something. Mileage-wise, I don't know. I mean, over 6,000 miles is a lot. It's a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the nomadic veterans. What 7,600, something like that, and they went all the way to Europe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we went over 6,600. The last number I saw. I know it's a little bit higher than that, but it's still a lot of miles. And
heck yes, it is.
But we'll do bigger next time. Something else. Not sure what.
So that's what I'm talking about. Because he's like, nah, man, we'll go bigger. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, you just fucking trekked around the U.S. You literally got back today. And like, I got to figure out how to make this bigger. And it's like, dude, that's like one of those things. It's like that undying spirit. A lot of people just would not even think about, like, oh, man, I got a hole in my hip. I probably shouldn't do that. And it's like, no, Dan turns around and everybody's like, dude, you're fucking crazy. And it's like, nah, you got to figure out how to go bigger next time. Like, dude, what the fuck, man? And I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's the right mentality for people to have, because we talk about this all the time. You got to live with a purpose. You got to have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You got to do something. can't just sit there and waste space.
Oh, I love it, man.
But the biggest thing is doing it.
Yes.
You know, and that's the key phrase of it all. I mean, you could talk about it all day long. You could say what you're going to do, but until you actually go out there and do it, I mean, there's not a minute that we stepped away from that camp, Camp Lejeune, you know, back in April. God, it seems so long ago. You know, and
it was 30 days.
Yeah, and literally looked at each other and, you know, said, you know, none other than, hey, Myrtle Beach, here we come. Whoops, plane went down, you know, due to the weather. Veterans stepped right up, you know, and there we were on our way to Myrtle Beach, jumped right out and got into it. I mean, we weren't sprinting a marathon, you know, but for none other reason than, once again, the faster we went to these cities, you know, now, of course, our ambitions were pretty high at the beginning. And then once we found out how many people were really staying in tune to us, you know, from that, the capturing the media on the very first day in Myrtle Beach there was a huge catalyst, but was a real eye-opener as far as this is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, you know, for the next 30 days, keeping people in tune. I mean, people knew exactly where we were at all times, and that was for a reason. So you could, you know, because none of this was planned as far as, I mean, we ended up throwing numerous different cities onto our map because we were able to make such good ground, you know, and that's, you know, it was just, I mean, you can't get much better than that, you know, but at the same time, taking a personal toll on ourselves, you know, was one thing that we never even thought about, you know, until once again, you have time to sit back and digress and think about it. And you're like, oh yeah, this kind of hurts, you know, but at the same time, you know, you just keep moving on. So
I love that.
I mean,
I do. I love it.
It is what it is, you know.
Do you guys have any, like, along the way, you know, those guys that really helped you guys out? You guys want to give any shout outs to them?
Oh, I mean, who don't you give a shout out to?
Right.
I mean, every city had its own unique people, to the veterans that needed help, to inspiring people, to the follow-up messages, and I mean, everything. And you really, once again, started to see the impact that you were having, but literally the dogs. The dogs were the one bringing inspiration and hope to not only the veterans, but to everybody around. I mean, they were rolling the carpet out for the dogs, you know, and just everybody was so in tune to the dogs. And that's exactly what the point was intended for. It wasn't the Dan and Joe show. It was what saved our lives. But once again, it was this program, period. You know, and that's one thing that was, you know, the forefront of it all. All you have to do is look at our social media. Whenever we post pictures of Dan and I, it was, oh, okay, like. Whenever you put the pictures of the dogs on there, you know, it was, you know, likes off the chain, you know, or comments off the chain, but most importantly, donations. And that's what it all resorted to. Because once again, you know, we went out did everything we could. But at the same time, is the mission a success? In a way, yes, but ultimately, no. You know, and that's why when you say planning the next one, I mean, veterans will never stop committing suicide. Dogs will never stop being euthanized. But on a daily basis, that's what we do, is constantly try to strive to decrease those numbers. Try to get to that one veteran. I mean, you guys were there on Saturday when you heard of one of my Ranger buddies that had committed suicide, that had been following along with us. I mean, it doesn't get more, you know, real than that, but that was a daily thing that, you know, we were looking into veterans' eyes and saying, hey, let's go. You know, what are you doing? You know, but most importantly, if you're meeting us on a Tuesday afternoon, you know, either you're off work or you're not employed, right? You know? So we appreciate the help, but what's really going on here, you know? So epic in every way. I mean,
yeah,
plain and simple.
I don't know. Ever since Dan and I first linked up as far as like the beginning of the stages of it, and one of the things that you had reiterated was like, we're going to plan internally, but there's not going to be a whole lot of like, you know, forethought. Like there's not going to be an advanced element kind of a deal, you know?
No, there wasn't. There was very, very little. I mean, we turned around and we put out, you know, a couple of weeks and that's it.
Right.
And that is it.
And that was the epic part about it too. I mean, epic is my vocabulary. I mean, that is my go-to word. But at the same time, that's the only way to explain it. Between the people to the places to, I mean, the impact that it had. I mean, absolutely. And how we all came together, you know, and how we all met. I mean, once again, it's the people that are out there that really give two shits about our veterans. And the only people that do are the veterans. Because we understand, you know, veterans understand veterans the most, period. And until you're able to actually sit down and hear the feedback, like from you gentlemen the other day, that's when, I mean, I look like a crybaby, crying the whole day. But it was one of the things where I'd been around my Ranger buddies and been around the same network that we all know for years, and constantly going out there and trying to help. And it's, as we know, it's not easy talking about what we go through on a daily basis at all, especially in front of the media and especially in front of, all the above. But at the same time, when you know what that'll impact, that's it. You have once it's addicting, to where you know what your job is, plain and simple. So
as we're talking, CT is
having
rummaging through the bushes.
Yeah, having a dog-tastic time.
The real characters. Hey, how's CT getting home?
We're actually flying out tomorrow morning at 7.
Both of you are flying together.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, right on.
Yep. So
Does he get a crate in the belly?
Oh no, he sits right next to me. On the
Nice.
plane. Yep. That's another thing that we do, constantly trying to pave the way as far as veterans not being afraid of, you always see the veterans on YouTube videos out there with their dogs, hey, you can't, fucking ask me that question, it's a service dog. And, so we're always constantly out there trying to pave the way with veterans feeling more comfortable, because CT is not a dog. He's my medication.
Mm-hmm.
He's what helps me. I jumped into Afghanistan on October 19th of 2001. So obviously flying in an airplane isn't too copacetic with me.
Right.
As soon as I sit down, I'm not sitting down. I'm hooked up, ready to go again in my mind, So it's one of the things where he's able to lay on my lap and sit there and do nothing but be there for me. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is once again what these dogs really do for people. Service dogs are just your canine companion, period. To being your best friends, to keeping you on your toes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So, and that was the best part, being able to bring your best buddies with you, and like I said, they're brothers for life, and now Dan and I are.
That's fantastic.
So,
dude, it really is. That's so cool. I mean, it's one of those things where it's one of those deals where it's an inspiring mission, and it's an inspiring story, and it allows anybody and everybody. I mean, we always say yes, ask for help and stuff like that, but like too many people don't understand that. I mean, they could have a four-legged friend that could be giving them the exact same, help that they're potentially seeking out or not seeking out, or think that they need help with and they haven't sought out, and literally what I'm trying to do as I describe this is dance around what I'm ultimately trying to say, which is you go out there and you find your own mission. I mean, that's what each one of us have to do. You know what I mean? Well, you can't complete a mission alone. No. You're never going to be able to do that. It doesn't work that way. The world has to have teams, and I think it's not just very cool, but it's also one of these things to where it's like, it's inspiring to see other veterans who are doing great things as far as traveling around and raising awareness and all of these excellent, conversations that we're all having and stuff. But again, it's shedding light on the ability to be like, dude, you need to humble yourself. There are other people who didn't live through these same experiences with you, but you and I are talking across the microphone. You hooked up April 19th, 2001, right? I fought in Ramadi in 2005, and just right now, it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't live through the same experience, but when I first rode an airplane, on my way home on leave, and we didn't do any airplane operations or anything like that. It's just, it was a prop plane, and it reminded me of being a C-130. And I got that same gut-wrenching feeling like, what the fuck's going to happen when we land the C-130, or when we actually come into zone or whatever. And
that's why we're, as veterans, we're able to understand each other the best. You try to explain this to the civilian population. That's one thing that, we found out, once again, we're not looking for the American public to understand what exactly we go through. But at the same time, when you do ask us, what have you gone through, or what have you done? And we try to explain it to the best that we can within either the opposite nature of our, military background, or just simply as veterans. You quickly realize that, it's by just their facial expressions that, it's like, oh, these guys are kind of scary. Right. Or crazy. Well, you're absolutely right. We are crazy. But at the same time, we were crazy there when you needed us.
Correct.
We did nothing but do our jobs. We're not looking for a thank you. Like everybody wants to say thank you on Memorial Day. Don't thank me. Do something about it. Take action. Don't go just party your ass off. Go out and lay a flower. Go out and visit, the Veterans Memorial. Donate to a veteran organization. Call up a veteran that lives down the street. do something proactive rather than, retroactive, plain and simple. It's not very hard. Of course, it could be my medical conditions coming out again. But at the same time, it's a pretty easy equation. So,
No, you're exactly right.
Well, I know one thing that your guys' progress and watching you guys go through, and then also having seen for the first time the Nomadic Veterans film at GI Film Festival, like just seeing guys just come together. It's like, what do you need? When do you need it? And like, come hell or high water, we'll make this shit happen. Like that seeing like guys pull together like that understand each other is truly inspiring, because it gives me, as someone that has felt alone for a while in my own pursuits, like that, like, oh shit, it is there, like I really can just call.
Mm-hmm.
I really can just seek out that help for whatever, that end goal is. And then also, I've also learned trying to bring value from myself into any situation I come into, just trying to bring something to the table so that either it greases wheels or helps someone out in some capacity. Just made a new connection, meeting a young Marine that had gotten out in 2012 at you guys' as comeback over here, at
Chewy's.
Chewy's.
And I mean, I plan on following up with this guy and seeing where he's at, what he needs, and trying to help facilitate that. And that's truly off of like the inspiration I got from you guys. So I really like to thank you guys personally, like to see that, and to like actually like watch it happen makes me know for a fact that it works. So like, it's like, okay, like the moon is the limit. Like, let's do this, And so I'd like to offer from our end, like, when you guys have that next, like, whatever you need, we will be there. Like, whatever you guys, like, tell us when to be there, what you need, like, we'll bring it. No questions asked.
Well, thanks, man.
So
Appreciate it.
just let us know.
And vice versa, and that's what the community is there for, is to take care of one another. I mean, everybody wants to be a part of, something great, in the veteran community. Everybody sees all the people that are out there trying to start their own forums and this, that, and the other thing. But literally, there's so much information out there that it's mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why keeping the network closed, but yet retroactive and proactive, as I kind of take my own self there, but keeping the ability to keep that phone call away. Call one of your buddies one day. Call that guy that you just met tonight, and keep following up with them. Because if not, as soon as you stop, they lose hope, as we all know from personal experience. But literally that's as easy as it is as far as just keeping in touch. And that's the power of social media, and that was another thing that we were able to prove too as well. Just how powerful social media is these days, in a good way and in a bad way. So
Two-edged sword for sure on that one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But we'd still be maybe in Texas right now if it hadn't been for social media.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say thank you to Mark Zuckerberg, but forget that guy.
When he donates, then I turn around and say thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
no kidding. And, that's why we're coming off very vulgar right now, but I mean, plain and simple, that's what it boils down
Well,
to.
you're only talking to Marines.
Yeah. I mean,
2004.
Each and everything that we did, we hope that once again, we were able to get that feedback, to each and every person that we talked to and touched. But at the same time, it boils down to the simple fact of the financial aspect of it. Once again, how can you go out and do something that we had just done, none other than what saved our lives, and not have anybody pick us up nationally. They rather cover, bullshit than cover what's really being done. I mean, it was one thing that, really pisses me off, but at the same time, it is what it is. You always be at the helm of whatever's the best for the ratings, but at the same time, what do we fight for? For Baltimore to burn their city down and them to get coverage, but at the same time, you can't stop it. You can only just keep going on, keep pushing on.
That was one of those things too, actually. Believe it or not, it was one of those thoughts where, like, when I checked out Facebook the next day and I saw everybody pissing and moaning about Baltimore, And it's like, dude, you guys are fucking up your own country and somehow, like, well, fucking up your own city, your own place where you live. People are, like, looting shit down the block and, like, walking it home. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And then you've got a couple of guys who are out there actually making good in the world, you know? And it's a caveat to what you're saying. It's one of those things to where it's like, dude, this is some fucking bullshit that these guys actually, you know, are not getting the media coverage that they deserve as far as, like, what goes into that. You know, that's one of the other things, too, is sinking in, like, jumping in as far as the network is concerned, right? Kind of going back and touching on it. That's how it's spun, right? I mean, the national media attention, you know, they spin it, just as you had said, on whatever's, like, you know, whatever's clever as far as ratings are concerned. Well, now, what do we have? Veteran Media Group, right? That's one of them, which is ran by, I believe it's a former Army veteran, you know, and and then you have Black Side Concepts, you know, and the Havoc Journal and all of these other different, it's almost like you're looking for donations from the general public, but what's funny about it is that veterans are the ones who are going to be paying the most attention to what you're doing overall anyhow, because we're synced into that network. So I don't know if that's something that you guys saw, but that was something that I thought of. I would go on Facebook and I would see all the Baltimore stuff, but then I would look on our veteran network platforms and everything that we were looking on there, and it was like you guys, it was these different Facebook groups, you know, O3XX, Gallant Few, Raiders, all of these other different guys that are out there filling the space. So it's like you look at the veteran community isn't talking shit on local media or on national television. The veteran community is trying to cause positive, effective change to occur outside in our everyday world. So why the fuck are we actually talking about all these shitbags who are causing nothing but negativity? It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Those shitbags are the ones that control a lot of, you know, what happens in this world, period. I mean, the more they covered Baltimore, the worse that it got. I mean, from what we were able to see. Because the less they covered us, the less our ratings were.
All right.
Because all we had to do was see how much people were donating. But when we were able to hit primetime TV in Phoenix and, you know, the key elements, you know, the key states, every state was a key state. Every city was a fucking key state. Mm-hmm. But whenever people were paying attention to us, that's when people were donating. Not veterans. You know, the American public. They would bring us into their homes. They were finding out about us. But literally the EBV network was what stepped up to the plate 75% of the time. You know, and granted, you know, everybody's notorious with the Ranger forums and how tight-knit the Ranger community is, if you will. But at the same time, unless you post a picture of a naked girl, you know, on there, you're really not going to get a lot of reception, you know, as far as, hey, we need help. But at the same time, yeah, they're there to help. But it's one of those things to where, you know, when you're involved in, you know, the canine business, you know, and business that we're involved in, you can't go hopping trains with your dog, you know, even though everybody wants to see that, you know, it's completely impossible. You know, let's face reality here, let alone the fact of every city we went to. I don't know how many people told us, boy, you sure made it here quick. You're goddamn right we made it here quick because we used our brains, you know, of how to get here quick, you know. So I thought you were walking. Yeah, so did we, you know. But once again,
Smarter,
as soon as we
not harder.
stepped off, absolutely.
Exactly.
So,
Well, and anybody out there that thinks 6,000 miles doable by human transportation is sadly mistaken. They're fucking idiots. It's simple as that. I mean, 200 miles a day, you know, for 30 days straight. I'd love to meet the motherfucker who can do that. Love to meet him. Because, yeah, right.
Google me.
Yeah, that was Joe Trainer raising his hand, thinking he can do 200 miles a day for 30 days.
And that was another great thing that, you know, whenever we first joined forces, you know, and Dan so graciously said, hey, yeah, you know, let's do this. You know, I didn't know a goddamn thing about Camo. You know, Camo went down in my day. I was like, oh, fuck, threw it off, and that was it. Hey, you know, we're yelling across the battlefield, and that was it, you know. But, I mean, this guy's we had more GoPros hanging from every orifice of our body, let alone everything that we needed in order to get it out there the way that it needed to be out there. And that was the key point, is that we were able to bring both assets to, you know, the vulgarity of just, you know, going to everybody and asking them for every bit of help, to once again having every bit that we bring to the table to do nothing but create what we created and making that deadline that we did.
And a lot of people don't understand that. You guys say it all the time. If you ask for help, help's going to be there. There are people that are out in the world who want nothing more than to support. You know, I mean, like, I myself, one of the biggest things that I want to be able to do wherever we go is just like, if not through financial means, which of course, you know, that's how the money go or how the world goes around, but like showing up, being there, you know, and having faith in what the overall goal, what the overall mission is. You know, a lot of people are sitting there looking for a mission themselves and something to help somebody else along with in whatever support aspect. You know, like there are a lot of veterans that are out there who go, oh, well, you know, that's awesome. That's great. But like, I don't have a cause like that. I don't have a mission like that. And when I talk to these different, we were talking to somebody about this earlier. When you talk to those guys and stuff, it's like, dude, do you not understand how much of a value-added asset you would be to, like, any one of these teams? You pick right? Larry always preaches this. You stay within your strength base, you find a high-impact team that you can add value to. You know, and it's like, dude, this guy thinks about everything that I don't think about. Yeah, I just always bring that up because I would be nowhere without this dude. You know what I mean? And, like, honestly, I gave him a call in Denver, and he was like, I'm there, dude. Let's do this. Drives his Jeep from Denver. I mean, what? It was like 42 hours. He slept like 2 15-minute breaks with all of his worldly possessions, and now he's like hanging out on the floor of my basement right now trying to get this thing going. Like, dude, brother, okay? You know what I mean? Like,
But that's what it's all about, though.
Yeah.
Is your brother to your left and right.
Am I wrong in saying that you were probably looking for a mission?
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
So-
no, not wrong.
Right. Right. But the thing is there's veterans who go, yeah, I do want a mission, and it's like you know, I always bring up JFK. JFK walks up to some old dude who was sweeping a floor, right, in NASA. Have you ever heard this? He walks up to this guy and he goes, sir, what do you do here? And he looks at JFK and he goes, I'm helping put a man on the moon. And went back to sweeping. Somebody has to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that individual who is as passionate about the guy climbing in the fucking, you know, Apollo space capsule who will actually be setting foot on the moon. I'm telling you right now, Neil Armstrong would be nothing without the guy who swept the floor.
And I mean, that's just like every bit of our armed forces. You know,
Absolutely.
whether you were a cook or whether you were the Air Force chick in the tent that was taking ID cards underneath the door. You know, it took every piece of the puzzle to make the merry-go-round as far as making the war what it is today. Now, we won't go into depth on that, but, you know, it's the simple fact of today's Memorial Day, you know, and today's a day to remember our fallen brothers, you know, but to keep hearing our brothers committing suicide is what, you know, really, really pisses me off, because there are programs out there. There is a network out there. You know, put down the arrogance, put down the cockiness, whatever you have to do, and just say, hey, I need help. You know, help, that 4-letter word is so powerful, but yet will hold you back from everything in life.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple. I mean, it's not very hard, but it is the biggest, hardest thing to come out and say.
Yeah.
And that's why I said the other day, I mean, I was just a weeping bitch, you know, as far as hearing everybody else and their stories, you know, for the very first time, and knowing that maybe by some way, shape, or form, we were able to catalyst that, you know, as far as everybody being open and having that, you know, that circle. You know, even there, we were all there to support, you know, our buddies, you know, with the film. You know, we just so happened to stop by to support him too, as well, as far as him linking us up, and the rest is history, you know.
You know,
awesome.
it's funny. It goes along with that is all the guys that we talk to on the road and people in just general. It's funny because while we're out doing this, I hear all these guys saying how much they love their dog, how much they spend time with their dog, and how much they're around their dog, and how much they couldn't live without their dog, and things like that. And not one of them said they needed help. Not one of them. But I realized that was me 11 years ago. That's how I was 11 years ago. I never said I needed help, but Spanky was there for me. You know, he was there for me no matter what. And I see it again in all these people that we talk to, and how much they love their dogs and their pets and things like that. And they talk about it so deeply. That's why this mission, you know, of Operation Keep Your Spanky is so important, because if those veterans lose those dogs, they may not ask for help or gone out there and look for the support. They're getting a little bit of it just at home with their own pets. And if they lose their dog or lose their cat, or, you know, end up having to leave for some reason because of financial hardship, that's going to be another one of the 22. And that could have been me easily. Same thing with Joe. And so it's funny, I sit there and listen to all these guys, and we talk to all these people, and it's so weird looking back at it, because that was me 11 years ago.
And what advice would you give directly to yourself 11 years ago from everything that is built upon you and, has strengthened you to this point where you're able to actually go through with something as epic as this has been?
I don't know. I mean, I would say to get help, but again, I don't think everybody needs that hardcore walking to the doctor help. I think more what we've been talking about here, getting out and just working with other veterans and being around them and things like that. I was talking to one guy during the trip, and the first thing that happens is, as soon as you get out of the military, as soon as you get back from a deployment, first thing you do is you leave.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you get away from the military as far as possible. And honestly, I think that's one of the worst things we could do, because if I hadn't stayed here in Jacksonville at Camp Lejeune and worked, here in the area and been around the military, even though I wasn't in the military anymore, I probably would have had a hell of a lot harder time, because this is a community. It's a whole different world here. We don't have the same situations as the civilian world. I know a lot of guys that have gotten out and went home, and they struggled, but they couldn't connect. I have a friend of mine right now who, him and his wife moved down to Louisiana, and he hates fucking life, or he was hating life, because he couldn't communicate with people. It's a whole different world when you're in the military. And
Right.
even just living in the town, working around a bases, you don't have to work on base. You just work in the community. You know the feel of everything here. And when you leave this town, you go to a very basic hometown that has no military support, no military anything. It's hard. And it's, I think it's hard for anybody to understand that, but especially junior military or any military that just get out and run. They're like, holy shit, I'm out. Get the hell out of here. Well, the problem is they get the hell out of here, and then they're like, oh, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah.
And there's been people that have come back here to Camp Lejeune. There's been people that have called. I know of guys that have literally come back here penniless and called the duty at their old unit, and the duty had to come pick them up and take them on base and give them a place to sleep.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they got back here and they had, it sounds sort of bad, but it's almost like the Rambo story.
Yeah.
Rambo's out on his own, and I mean, not to sound cliche and talk about, Rambo, but it's sort of the same idea. He's just wandering. And when they run out of money, they run out of things to do, they come back to what they know. And they come back to Camp Lejeune, and they call the duty on at their old unit. The duty drives out and picks them up and brings them back and puts them up.
Yeah.
Gets them back on their feet. But that's the hard part. And, I realize now that 11 years ago when I was dealing with all this, if it wasn't for Spanky, I may not be here. And that's you.
And it's funny that you should say that, because I've shared a little bit about, like, when I got out of the Corps, I transitioned out and wound up moving to Boston. And it's nothing against Boston whatsoever. It's just I didn't sink in well within the community. I always give people the bullshit, like, it's not conducive for my lifestyle, right? I'm kind of a hardcore guy, right? Need to have my guns around me, need to have my Harley, all these other things. Just didn't fit in all that well in Boston. Marines got a real fucked up sense of humor. So, like, when other people are like, oh, you served in Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm sorry to hear that. It's like, motherfucker, I served in a couple of wars before I was 25, okay? I'm doing just fine. That's the motivation right there, okay? I was dying, literally, in Boston. I was dying.
Mm-hmm.
I told nobody about it. I knew, like, a handful of veterans up there, and it crushed me. In August of this past year, it, no joke, was just night after night, out on the back porch, literally going like, what's the next mission? You have it in you. I graduated EBV at that point, right? And still, though, it was, it was just like, you're in this weird mental gutter. You're in this, like, no one understands any of the things that you have to talk about. So how do you communicate, as you were saying? How do you even converse with somebody? And I just climbed myself into this shell and was like, you know what? I'm not going to come out of here. And then I wound up saying, like, we've got to move. We need a change. We need something. And when people ask me why, my number one reason was I need to go back to my veterans. That was it. Like, I have got to be around veterans. I got to be around Marines. I've got to be around fucking salt-to-the-earth people who, like, when I look at them and go, hey, man, we're about to go into the fray. You ready? The guy makes condition 1, and we fucking step outside the wire. And if I don't have those people around me, then I'm useless to the rest of the world. Because I got to have when I left the Marine Corps, literally I got as far away from the Marine Corps as you could. I went from Camp Pendleton near San Diego to Boston. Okay, within that year, I got in a car accident with my Toyota 4Runner, got hit by a semi-truck, spun through an intersection twice. And let me tell you, I was not in that intersection mentally when I was spinning around 720 degrees. My ass was back in Ramadi, and I just got hit by an IED. And like when I clambered myself out of that Vic and wound up seeing what was going on around me, 2 and 2 finally added up to 4, but it was like my head, I could tell, was fucked up. And then later on, thank God I wasn't in the city, but the marathon bombing takes place. You remember the marathon bombing when they were talking in front of that Best Buy? Mm-hmm. That was the Best Buy I worked at when I got out of the Corps. The firefight took place a mile away from my house. I mean, tops. So here I am barricaded inside my house with my pregnant wife, right? Loaded to bear, ready to rock in case anybody came, and everybody's driving around going, stay inside of your homes. Don't go outside. Wait a minute. Okay, time out. There's enemy that's around the corner, and you're not going to let a Marine outside the wire? The fuck is going on here? So my brain, right, let alone, if you ever drive around Boston, have you ever seen the map of Boston?
Oh, fuck Boston.
Yeah. And the map of Boston, map of New York, map of Boston, it says, fuck you. That's why?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Literally, it reminded me of driving around Ramadi. I didn't have another truck to follow around. I was lead truck driver. So anywhere that I went, it's like fucking alleyways and trash cans and like piles of trash, and you're going, negative, dude. I am not going down that alleyway. And my wife would say, dude, you missed our turn. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll go around here. I don't tell people that. Like, I don't tell people, no, we're not going down there because that's a shady fucking alley and we're not going down there. And it's not even shady. It's just, it's a street with a pile of trash on the side of it.
Yeah.
But I can sit here and I can tell you guys that there was nobody that I could tell that to 6 months ago. So that's why I'm elated with a gigantic shit-eating grin on my face every time I see you guys, because I'm like, yes, it's fucking awesome. Because again, I didn't miss the people in the Marine Corps. The camaraderie is what people say. What I missed is the people who want to get shit done. For whatever reason, Marines hate hurry up and wait, right?
Oh, God.
But like, why the fuck aren't we doing something? You got us here. We're in camis. You know what I mean? We're people, like you were saying, you got to commit to that action. It's all in your actions, right? Actions speak louder than words. So that's why it's like, dude, I'm at fucking work right now, smoking a cigar on your back porch, spitting into a fucking microphone. So I'm loving life now. But it was extremely difficult for me being isolated in that scenario. Wife, kid, and it's going, I love your family, baby, but like, we got to get the fuck out of here because there ain't nobody like me. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like, there's no other way to put it. So.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. That's why I said, we run as far as possible when we leave here. Luckily enough, I didn't run from here. I just stayed because the unemployment rate was too high. We're back home, and I ended up staying here for a job, and I think it was a good thing that I stayed here.
Yeah.
Around the military. Actually, while we were on the trip, one of my best Marines, one of my good guys, he actually he committed himself to a VA hospital up in Virginia because he couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like home plate. You guys familiar, or is it home base? I'm gonna say it's home base. Oh God, I hope it didn't mess that up. But they're a suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And specifically, like I called them up and talked to those guys because it's not just suicide prevention. It's more along the lines of like anything surrounding PTS as a whole.
Right.
As well as I do, when you talk to the VA, that shit's set in stone. Might as well etch it in with a chisel. So it's like, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to talk to those guys. Let's see if I can talk to somebody else who understands. I bounced this plan off them. I literally did. I said, hey, this is what I'm kind of thinking about doing. I'm an entrepreneur. These are all of the different aspects of what's going into it. And like, I just want to get around vets. And they're like, that's the greatest thing in the world. Like, go do that right now.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's it? You have no notes?
Like, you want to talk to vets? Take our phone calls. There you go.
Right. And it's, dude, it's just, I don't know. It's fun. It's awe-inspiring. I have no other emotion or any other way to put it. It's like we were talking to Chris. We were talking to Chris and Josh, right? Walters and Mattfeld, two guys that we served with in Ramadi in 05 and again in 07. We didn't talk to these cats in God knows how long. 3, 4, 5 years probably, something like that. Walters is out in Utah. Mattfeld's up in Wisconsin. That conversation left off literally, took off literally where it left off. It was like, what are you up to, bro? Oh, yeah, this. All right, cool. And then bam, and we were just sitting there bullshitting in the smoke pit like we were back in Ramadi. A couple of guys were separated by a few thousand miles. And it's like, dude, just the smoking lamp's lit. Let's just chill. This, and talk about whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
And
Well, you probably felt it when you went back to EBV if you hadn't been around veterans and shit like that. I mean, as soon as you showed up,
power.
I mean, you're talking 20-some veterans that you don't know from really anybody in a room that you really don't know anybody at all. The next thing you know, you're best friends with all of them. You're out drinking that night,
I love it.
Ready to go back to school in the morning. I mean, it's that powerful. And it's all around. It's just, that's the feeling you get when you're around the veteran community.
Yep. Well, and you're right. And one of the other things that all of these veterans in that room are passionate about is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It gets my fucking dick hard talking to an entrepreneur. I'm telling you right now, when you see that dude's eyes light up and the fire in his belly and he's like, burn the fucking boats. We conquer all or we die while we're here. That's it. I fucking love that. That is just my shit. And I've shared this with you before. When I went to EBV, I was a Marine. When I came home, I was a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I share that with everybody I meet. When I went there, I was isolated. I was in my own bubble. I had my own thing that was going on. And I'll be fucking damned. Doc Haney nailed it. You know what I mean? Like, just you show up, the network's there, literally from day one. Family. Family is all that you hear. Family, by the way, is an acronym. I don't know if I shared this with you.
Yeah.
Friends, advisors, and mentors who inspire and lift you up.
Family you?
Well, it's just, I think of it just as family. Friends, advisors, mentors who inspire and lift you up. That's the way that I look at it. But the whole idea for me, dude, I'm serious, man. When I went to EBV, I was just like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I don't know what the hell's in this water, but I'm drinking as much of it as I can.
Well, no, it was, but that's, I mean, even if you're not even a hardcore, but just being around the other veterans and coming back to something like that, being in that environment or being around the other veterans, it doesn't matter where you go. I mean, just like whenever we went on this journey, whenever we went somewhere like a VFW or anything like that, I mean, we went to the curving club up in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. That wasn't a veteran-based thing, but there was a few veterans in there, and as soon as you turn around and get in there and you're around the other veterans, it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what year they served or what branch.
Yeah.
You're automatically inspired to talk with them and go on and discuss things and talk about ideas and things that have gone on. And you may have served at two completely different times, but you still have done something that nobody else has really done, is worked and served in the military. And you have that automatic connection no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
And of course, everybody's got to pull out and say, "Oh, my dick's bigger," and my dick's bigger because I did this and whatnot. But that's just part of the game,
right?
And it's huge.
It really is. It's fun. It's really good being a part of this.
It is.
Anything else would be way too normal.
I know,
we wouldn't
right?
know what the fuck to do with ourselves.
I wouldn't. I mean, if it wasn't for the veteran community, I mean, and on top of that, just all the stuff the veteran community has been able to do for us. I mean, support us in any way, shape, or form, and connect us with certain things and get us across country or help us with donations or whatever else. I mean, it's huge. And having that support, if it wasn't for the veteran community, we may have not made it all the way across country.
Hey, you'd still be in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the support that came out of that, we wouldn't have ever made it.
It's like literally like the veteran community is like adjacent units just waiting on the wings to get called in for an airstrike or something. You know what I mean? Like they're just waiting. Like, so.
Oh yeah, and that's the whole meaning of it too. And because those are literally the guys. A lot of those guys are the ones that literally needed the either the talking to or wanted to help out because they needed help themselves, and that was their way of coming out and saying, "Hey, you're helping me." At the same time, but obviously not saying it, but at the same time being a part of it. Most importantly, as far as helping your brothers out whenever they need help, no matter what branch, no matter what era, just helping the mission be a success. Period.
Hell yes.
So
awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Seriously,
Get the fuck out of here.
we love it. Well, I'm
Jesus
telling you, man,
Christ.
it's
No.
seriously, it's a privilege being able to sit down with you guys. It always is. Talking to any veteran about anything, but especially ones who are like, yeah, fuck it, let's rock up and go.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hey,
this is very cool.
it was good shit.
And thank you, Spanky and CT, for being fucking awesome canines.
As they relax on the
Now,
deck.
we appreciate everything you guys are doing, too, as well. I mean, once again, it takes those, go out there and fucking do it. You know, don't talk about it, be about it.
Hell yes.
And that's what really brings everybody together and helps things progress. So when we do it next time, we'll be able to have the Forrest Gump on steroids. You know,
There you
be
go.
able to have the corporate sponsors to give us 4 RVs, free gas, and just go to every fucking VA there is. Go to
And the
every.
states to give us free tolls.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, too.
Fuck tolls.
You know,
It's like, this is an interstate. Why am I paying
Jesus
to be on this
Christ.
piece?
we need to start like
Dude, we
a-
traveled fucking all the way across the country. We went from North Carolina all the way to California and then back all the way to Chicago and never paid one fucking toll to drive on one road. Everything was smooth until we got to the Northeast. And literally from Chicago back here to North Carolina, we probably spent $200 plus in tolls.
Jeez.
Jesus.
It was $60-some just to go across the state of Pennsylvania
Wow.
on the turnpike.
My God.
$14 for a fucking bridge in New York.
You're that
Oh,
Pennsylvania, that sigh is for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, baby.
Yeah, New York. One fucking bridge in New York, $14
$14.
to go over it. I mean, you should get a blowjob with it.
Right?
There should be hookers at either end picking you up, and okay, well, I'll get in the car for the ride over the bridge. I mean,
At
it's
least you pay
ridiculous.
for something
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Now you
damn.
don't mind the traffic at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I'm good with hanging out in the traffic.
We'll slow roll for a little while.
I mean, but damn,
And then, hell, the kid that hooked us up in New York, I mean, for Christ's sakes, he was 25 years, or excuse me, in 5th grade whenever I was jumping into Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing this for? You know, like, what the hell? He's like, man, I just look up to, military guys so much. And, we're just sitting here looking and asking ourselves, what the fuck's wrong with this kid? Like, is there something about him, something a little bit more to him? It just was a genuine dude that literally wanted to help out as much as possible. And then took us to the World Trade Center. And that literally was, I mean, a moment to where it scared the fuck out of everybody that was a civilian that was watching us, because everyone's sitting there getting their pictures taken, smiling, and Dan and I just kind of stood there together, and we're at 2 separate ends, just soaking it all in and knowing that that's where everybody's lives changed forever that day, whether you were there or you were part of the military or you were part of some type of action in order to take that action to, once again, for what they did, but needless to say, it was definitely a big, awakening to what we were doing, And then we went on to have drinks with him and his buddies and started talking about the military because they asked, and needless to say, one of them went to the bathroom. One of them, one said his wife called, had to go home. Before you know it, 5 of them went to one. And it was like, hey, I guess it's time to go. We scared the fuck out of everybody, So,
Meanwhile, a couple
Yes.
of vets would be up on the roof bullshitting until like 4 in the morning. Like, hey,
oh yeah.
somebody else who understands this shit. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, and that's exactly the route it was going to. We were sharing stories, showing videos, and you could just see it on their eyes. It was, oh, my God, this shit really happened? This is the real world? This is what really happens? Well, yeah,
Hell yes.
so.
that was an interesting night.
Oh, Lord. Now the dogs are getting into it.
CT.
Take it off the deck, guys.
That's actually really
One of
good
the hazards
soundbite.
in recording remotely is animals will be playing within your immediate proximity.
Well, we've got a half acre here, and they're deciding to do it on the deck next to us.
Right. Oh, good Lord. All right, fantastic. Gents, thank you so much, seriously.
No,
This
thanks for
has
having us,
been-
man.
This has been fantastic watching the progress. We're going to continue to tell the listening audience about Operation Keep Your Spanky, the Dreamers Foundation, One Pet, One Vet, right? A Dog Stream
Yep.
is the,
That's the for-profit company.
right, that's a for-profit company, A Dog Stream. Did you
Get your dog on.
get your dog on?
Mm-hmm. It's not a porn site yet, but it's it's our dog service provider. Same thing as what Dan's got going, from training to boarding to do all the above. So
That panting was not Dan.
That was the That was get the dog on panting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just like ask me about my Spanky.
There you go.
I have to ask you about your Spanky.
Well, we
Sure.
decided the next T-shirt's going to say, "Hey, give me $20 and I'll tell you about my Spanky."
Nice.
Yes.
That's going to be the next T-shirt we have.
And, since we're talking on the Veteran Network here, we might as well go ahead and tell you that, once again, using Tinder and all the dating sites to leverage what your mission is also a great fucking idea. So for all those Rangers that are listening out there that they would donate 20 cents per mile, well, there's two
2 networking sessions that took place during this trip.
yeah, yes. And within a 24-hour period, which, is lacking on my part, and I apologize to you, Dan, on that.
Man, no shit, man.
But at the same time, they stepped up to the plate and donated, but at the same time, now it's time for you, Ranger buddies, to hold up to your commitment. That 20 cents per mile, there's 2. So.
Hold on. That sounded really bad when you said, "Sorry, Dan." Let's clarify out there. This was for other women that he met on Tinder. It had nothing to do with me.
Well, this was your mission.
Yeah, but you were raising
So-
money for the mission. You weren't doing anything with me. When you said, "I'm sorry, Dan," it sounded like,
No, I just didn't
you
want
didn't put
to
out enough for the trip.
Like you
with
could
me.
you could have hopped in that train line with me, Dan.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. We're all hitting it.
So just put it out there.
Did you have a flashback to comm school?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
It's like, that doesn't sound right. No. Over and out, yeah.
Dude, comm school out in 29 Palms. Whew.
And that was a great thing about it, too, is, once again, I don't know how many people asked us, you're going to be able to survive 30 days with each other in the car? And we're like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And there was not one time that we looked at each other and had a, everybody has that moment, where you're like, fuck this, fuck that. We had that moment together as far as, why the fuck aren't people donating? Why the fuck are we out here busting our asses? Not, hey, fuck you, Dan. Fuck you, Joe. Because once again, we're each putting in 110% and then some for none other than our dogs. And we're just asking America, what the fuck is your problem? So, and I love just being able to swear.
I know, right?
I know, it feels so fucking good.
Hell yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for everybody, you saw the documentary. Obviously, we were all at the film viewing. So next year when ours comes out, it's going to be beep, 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 beep. Hi, guys. Beep, 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 beep. Because that's how Joe talks. And that's how every one of our fucking videos is.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. I love my
What would
mom and
you
dad. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, for all of you guys listening, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Go ahead, join us on Facebook. We're at Cigars and Sea Stories on Facebook. Join in on the conversation. Your comments actually make the show. If you're a Marine out there, you've got something to say, or an FMF Corpsman, hey, man, we want you on here. Be a guest. Do whatever. If you're achieving greatness out there, hey, we'll come and interview you. That's what it's all about, right?
You want to hear a funny story?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, sorry, I know you're cutting it off, but when you said Corpsman, and I had a flashback real quick, Joe. Remember what happened in the hotel room with Spanky?
Oh.
What happened?
So,
Dan, tell you a story.
where were we?
We were in
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
So we're in-
CT.
What the hell is he doing? Get the fuck out of the pond, dog.
That's that winter.
So just real quick, we're in, because everybody wonders what the hell happens in hotel rooms, right? Well, when you said FMF Corpsman and whatnot, it reminded me, Joe and I were in Oklahoma City. So, to give you the backstory, back to Tinder, Joe was Tindering it up with one girl and decided to go in the bathroom and finish himself off with his girl via Skype. And so, while Joe's in there, of course, I'm fucking with him. So I'm taking my phone and taking pictures of like the dog's asses and emailing or fucking texting to him just to fuck with him. Cause the picture's going to show up as he's going, going to town on Skype with his girl. I'm sending pictures of dog's asses and balls. And
I'm straight snapping it off like it's no tomorrow. With this chick. She had donated $800 at this point, so I'm like, I gotta give her something back.
Yeah. He owed her a little.
Yeah.
So I'm taking pictures of the dog's balls and asses and sending it to him just to fuck with him. Well, I happened to notice under Spanky's tail, like right at the top of his asshole, he had an abscess. And it was probably about the size of like 2 peas, maybe, maybe a small grape. And so Joe finally finishes his shit and, comes back out in the room, and we're looking at his ass and, like, fuck, man, we got to do something with this. And so we made an operating room on the table or on the bed in the fucking hotel room.
Thank you,
Hell yeah.
thank you,
Awesome.
Kurgo, for the first aid kit.
Yeah. Kurgo, you were the winner on that one because you helped out with the first aid kit. But the funny part, and there is, we got into this, is because I was remembering we're sitting there, and obviously it's a big abscess, so we sort of lands it, and it pops, and blood and pus goes all over. And so trying to keep it as clean as possible, so we're using tissues and shit like that. We got a lot of tissues. It looks like we had a mild abortion in the bed in the hotel room that night. But the funny thing is after we got it all done, we've got this mini hole. It looks like a second asshole in Spanky. And we're like, shit, what do we do now? Because it wouldn't stop bleeding. Because it's an abscess, and so it's pretty good size. And it's right there at his ass. Well, you can't turn around and put a Band-Aid on it. It's not going to stick. So I was like, Joe, go get that super glue out of your bag. And so Joe goes gets the super glue that we packed. And we're like, all right, we'll put a little, drop, close it up, just like a liquid stitch. No big deal. So he tries to pop it open. Well, it wouldn't open because he'd already used it once, so it dried. The tip dried on it. And so he pops, he tries to open it up again, and he's sitting there, and now you got to imagine, here's me like holding Spanky's ass up, like his tail up, and on the other hand, I'm pulling his ass down a little bit so we can get this abscess open enough so that Joe's standing there with both his hands on this little bottle of fucking super glue, squeezing his, like, fucking veins are popping out of his head. He's sitting there squeezing and squeezing, and next thing you know, the bottle explodes, and fucking super glue goes all over Spanky's ass.
Oh, God, dude.
So we're sitting there.
Oh, my God.
And we're sitting there, and it gets on the abscess, which is good because it stopped the abscess, obviously. But the problem was it started leaking into his asshole.
Oh,
No.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm grabbing the tissue that I had that was full of blood, and I'm like, it's stuck to my hands, and I'm trying to wipe his asshole so his asshole doesn't get glued shut. So finally,
Joe's just sitting here in disbelief.
It was a fucking super glue escapade. I mean, it was.
dude, there's fucking super glue everywhere. Normally you get like 1 or 2 drops out of those fucking bottles. I
Right.
swear to God, there was a gallon in this little bottle, this little tube, and it was all over Spanky's ass. And we're sitting there, and the abscess is luckily stopped, but now it's dripping down into his asshole. So I'm like, before his asshole glue is shut, I'm trying to get it out with tissue and dry that up. And then, obviously super glue dries quick. So next thing you fucking know, his ass is perfectly fine. His abscess is closed. We got just a little bit of hair in there. His butthole still works. It's not glued shut. But then my entire hands are super glued with bloody, pus-filled fucking tissues on them. So I'm sitting there. I didn't even know what to do because every one of my fingers had blood, piss, or blood, shit, and pus super glued to it. In the middle of the hotel room.
Epic.
It was epic.
That is
Epic.
But it goes back, when you said Corman, I was like, God, we were Corman on this. Save Spanky's ass.
There wasn't anything we weren't on this.
No,
piece.
that's true.
That's for sure.
But anyways, that was just a funny story when you said that.
See,
Yeah.
that's why people subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
That better
so that
get.
they can have glorious material like that.
I was going to say, I highly doubt you're going to find anybody else that's got a abscess on a dog's tail, that talks about super gluing his asshole shut.
Yes. Hell yes. Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome. Well,
Good
again, thank you guys so much for your time, seriously, and we appreciate all of your asshole stories.
Oh,
so
no
that's
problem.
fantastic.
That's what we're here for.
There's gonna
Awesome.
be so much more to come on these. I mean, we got so much footage of assholes and see all the above.
Not my
Literally
asshole.
assholes kicking us out of places. The fucking
There you
assholes.
go. There you go.
So
Awesome.
once again, thank you to all the girls that donated out there. Thank you.
Little love from Joe.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. Cue the music.